Alright, starting off with squats today, 185, and yeah, I know my depth probably ain't that great. But I'm going to try to reach the limits of my flexibility. Weight, not a problem. But getting down into that position, oh yeah, that's a problem. Chin-ups. Alright, even though it feels like I'm a mile in the air, according to the camera, depth looks pretty decent. Looks like I'm hitting about parallel, so, that's good. As long as you're hitting parallel, you're doing alright. You can get deeper. Tension on the muscle is what grows it. And tension on the muscle at a higher degree of stretch is more beneficial than tension on a muscle at a more contracted position. But, as long as you're getting a pretty good degree of muscular stretch, and you're doing all right. You don't have to go, real crazy with range of motion like some people think you have to. Get some snap, crackle, popping going on in my joints. If you imagine your bones like this, connected by a joint like this, the further they bend, the more stretch you put on a muscle. But if you have some body mass in between these two joints, then as you bend them, all of a sudden the stress is now on the joint, not on the muscle on the opposite side. That's why excessive range of motion can be detrimental. Yet, like imagine my bicep right there. You can see right here, at that extreme joint angle, it's pressed up against my forearm. If I push on my hand like this, there's no tension on my tricep muscle there. But here, there is tension on my tricep. So, all these people who say, oh, you gotta have this extreme, crazy range of motion in order to make gains, well, you're actually shooting yourself in the foot if you're doing that. Alright, pull up. Of course, that's different for an exercise like that, where the most stretched out position is open. Your joints aren't collapsed in on each other. Something like that, you can get extreme range of motion and get gains from it. But any type of movement where you're collapsing the body in on itself, you gotta, cut your range of motion just a tad, in order for that to really truly be effective. Squats are a perfect example. If you bend your hip, at your hip so much that your gut presses up against your thighs, you're not getting maximal gluteal and hamstring stimulation. And likewise, if you bend your knee so much that your hamstring presses on your calves, you're not getting maximum quadricep stimulation. So you want to cut your range of motion short by about a couple of inches instead of going all the way down like this. You want to cut it short about like here. Not here, but here. You'll try it out for yourself. You'll find out which position is more difficult to maintain. You know, I can sit like this all day. Doesn't require any muscle. But sit like this. Ooh, that's, all of a sudden that's a little bit more difficult. Alright, 275 should be a cinch. Really have to check my depth on that one. Alright, 275 depth looks pretty good on film. Let's try 295. That does not feel deep, but we'll see what the camera says. Alright, 315. At 295, seemed like depth was alright. Oh, you know, it would help if I load the bar correctly. Alright, let's see if 315 wants to move. Really feels shallow, but I'll see what the camera says. Alright, I don't know if that 315 squat is one that I would count. I can't really tell on this camera's viewfinder. I'll have to evaluate that when I'm editing film later. But yeah, I'll try going up a little bit, but I will use a box just as a depth gauge, not a box squat. This is a free squat. I'm just using the box as a gauge. Unless, of course, I get, unless the weight stables me, then I'll just move it. Still, not a box squat. I haven't squatted that. I haven't been squatting nearly that heavy, so I'm just going to call it there. Alright, so I'll say 315 is my new max, and I'll start working with that from now on. As for 335, I'll get that next training cycle. But what I need is more experience in the, probably about 275 pound range before I'm comfortable with anything that much. You know, if something don't feel right, don't do it. You know, that 335 squat as I was going down, just, it didn't feel right. You know, it didn't feel like I was going to injure myself. I don't know, it just didn't feel correct. Didn't feel in the groove. So, yeah, I'm just calling it there. Anyways, I've gotten some good information about my strength. My strength, my leg strength has definitely gone up. Flexibility has definitely gone up. I can definitely tell that some of those squats were at parallel with my wide stance, which I definitely could not hit, not long ago. So, and my wide stance is weaker than my narrow stance. Because I know there's somebody out there saying, oh, you got to squat with your heels together and with your heels up on a plate and with your knees pushed way forward. If I do that, I'll squat the world. However, I won't, get a whole lot of gains. Won't get a whole lot of gains in other avenues of strength. Only my squat will go up if I squat like that. However, if I squat with a wide stance and I set my butt way back and I bend way over, I know from experience, just about every other lift will improve from that. I've even gotten bench press gains doing almost nothing but squatting before. So, squat's great exercise, but you got to use what develops you, not what some jackass thinks is a more aesthetic movement. All right? I ain't in it for no aesthetics. I'm in it for performance. A lot of different ways to train. Probably the oldest and the simplest is percentage-based training. Something like do 3 sets of 10 with 70% of your 1 rep max, or do 3 sets of 5 with 85% of your 1 rep max. And that's good. And then there's reps in reserve. I'm doing 3 sets of 10 with 2 reps in reserve. Basically I did 10, but I felt like I could have done 12. Nobody gets that one right. That's in my opinion, that's a pretty terrible way to train. And then there's RPE. Nobody knows what RPE means, so I don't think about that. The way I like to train is with rep maxes. Like, you find your 10 rep max, you find your 8 rep max, you find your 5 rep max, you find your 3 rep max, you find your 2 rep max, you find your 1 rep max. I like that because if because you're always trying to find the utter limits of your strength, and you're going until, your body just won't do it anymore. And with that, I can, generally find out what I need to train. So like, if I know my 10 rep max is 225, but my 3 rep max is, what's my 3 rep max right now, 255? No, my 255 was my 5 rep max. Yeah, I don't have a 3 rep max, that's right, because 260 I could only get for 1, but 255 I can get for 5. If you see right there, if you can get one weight for 5, then you go up 5 pounds and you can only get that for 1, well, you've learned something about what you need to train, don't you? That to me gives me more information and helps me focus my training a whole lot more than, reps in reserve or percentage-based training, because none of that really takes into consideration what qualities that you need to develop. It's always assuming that you're perfectly balanced. Nobody's perfectly balanced. Nobody has everything sorted out. Everybody has, their strengths and their weaknesses. And part of effectively training yourself is finding out what your strengths are and finding out what your weaknesses are and developing a plan to get yourself to that next level. So, that's my philosophy on training. Well, look at that, huh? Yeah, 2 of them. Texas persimmon. I know they look pretty pathetic right now, but they're in hibernation. It's the winter time. Hopefully, come spring, they'll start producing some foliage and some fruit. Yeah. Either that or it may be a year before they grow, but, trees are a long-term investment.
What do you think, huh? You excited to have some trees back here? You excited to have some trees? Yeah.
Let's see how my form with 205 looks. left arm, left elbow feels jammed up, but I think there's just the stiffness coming out of it. I think my left elbow is starting to straighten out a little bit more as I'm working on it. So I've been thinking about how I need to train, and right now my neural efficiency isn't on point, which isn't that big of a problem. You know, it's much more of a problem if you don't have the muscle mass or the endurance. I've got the muscle mass, I've got the energy, but I just don't have the neural efficiency. That's cool. Neural efficiency is the last thing you need in order to get strength. You know, it's the most crucial, but it's the last in series that you need to develop. So I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll just drop down the weight. You know, I worked my way up to 260, so I think I'll drop the weight down to 225, which is what I have on the bar right now. And I think I'll just do some standard training again and start slowly working my way up. Not sure if I'll go AMRAP style or just a bunch of straight sets. I think today I'll see if I can't get 3 sets of 10 with 225. When I started this whole training cycle, 225 was my 10 rep max. So I could get that for 10, but if I did a second and third set, I wouldn't be able to get it for 10 for those sets. So if I can get this for 3 sets of 10, I'll say that's an improvement. And then I'll start working my way up. Or I may just stick with 225 for a while and just build out my base a little bit. Might just do 225 for 3 sets of 10 every day for, a week, 2 weeks, something like that. Take the results I can get and then start working my way up with rep maxes. Oh yeah, definitely could have got that for more than 10. So my strength has definitely gone up. Let's get some, I'm thinking about doing more of an upright row, more for the upper traps and things like that. But I want to do it with a bent hip, a real upright chest, sort of like this. I just feel like that'll hit the back musculature I want to hit a little bit more effectively. As long as an exercise technique doesn't get you injured, it's a valid technique. So don't let anybody tell you, oh, that's the wrong way to do that. The only reason that somebody should be telling you that's the wrong way to do that is if you're doing something that'll get you injured. Because getting you injured, if you're injured, you can't train. And if you can't train, you can't improve. Yeah, I like that. It's difficult to keep the rest of your back in position, but I like the way that feels in my upper back. I'm not as motivated to push hard today, but yeah. Easy thing to do when you're not motivated to push hard on a particular exercise is to just get in a lot of grunt work. Because all you really need in order to spur growth is one good set. You get one good set on an exercise, all out, leave everything on the platform. You'll get growth from that if you do it every day. And if it's a big exercise, if it's something like, I don't know, reverse curls or something, well, maybe it won't get you that much benefit. But if you do one all-out set of squats or bench press or overhead press or pull-ups or any of the big exercises, that'll trigger some growth. But it's not the only way to trigger growth. Multiple sets at a little bit lower rate of intensity, that'll do the same thing. In fact, it's better for some qualities than others. Depending on what exercise and what you do and how your body reacts and what have you. So, just do a whole lot, because the more you do, the better your results. Oh yeah. Even with zero hype, just feeling like, all those reps are kind of a slog, kind of feeling all over the place, struggling to keep my form as good as I can. Even then, 10 reps is nothing. So yeah, I have definitely gotten a lot stronger. Oh yeah, I forgot about my rows. I'm using a wide grip with these too. Doing these, I like where that puts the stress on the muscles in the upper back, but it's not really that challenging for those muscles. It's more challenging to keep myself in position, but whatever. If I do this enough, then I'll just get good at it. Some people worry about trying to get themselves in the optimal position in order to eliminate all the necessity of their low back and their core muscles to hold the weight. Those people don't ever wind up with a lot of good real world strength. Alright, set 3. I may get 11, may get 12, I don't know. Just depends on how good I feel. Or I might just cut it off at 10. What do you think?
Oh, did you hurt your little paw? Did you hurt your little paw? Is your little paw okay? Did you get a sticker in? Oh, you just got a sticker. You got it, huh?
I love that cat. What was that, 10? Yeah. Those high reps, I get kind of bored midway through. Can't keep track of what number I'm on. I'm just focusing on alright, make sure your breathing's good, make sure your form's good, make sure this isn't slipping, make sure you keep this tight, that tight. Yeah. Next thing you know, I've lost what number I'm on. I think that was 10. All right. All right. Little squat, little bench, some rows, a few pull-ups. That would be everything, except I'm not forgetting about push-up time. There are two useful supplements, all right? Caffeine and creatine. Caffeine, just drink a cup of coffee. You don't need any of these fancy energy concoction type of things. Those things just, who knows what's in them, all right? Probably all types of illegal amphetamines and all types of stuff. No, you'll burn yourself out. You'll ruin your progress taking that nonsense. Just have a cup of coffee. Creatine, on the other hand, that's pretty good. You used to be able to get a 1 kilo tub of creatine for about 20 bucks. 5-gram dose every day. That's about 200 days worth of creatine for 20 bucks. Not a bad price. Went to the store to get some creatine the other day. 200 kilo tub, 200 gram tub, not kilo, 200 gram tub, 30 bucks. All right. That's a whole heck of a lot more than inflation. So I don't even know if creatine's worth it at this point for me. So I might not even take it. But I got an old 1 kilo tub that I found from years back, so I've been working my way through that. Anyways, push-up time. But yeah, all other supplements, garbage. Don't worry about them. Let's see, 30's been pretty consistent. I'll definitely get at least 30. I'm not gonna let myself stop until then. Might even try for 40. I'll see how the push-ups treat me, how my elbows feel, how my breathing is, etc. Sorry. Yeah, 30. That's pretty good. If I start resting on the ground, it kind of takes away from the point. Yeah, it's mainly my wind. That's the problem with those. Abs, a little bit. But, I've been working my abs a little bit here and there, so they're pretty decently strong. Mainly just my wind. Alright, well, I'll go for a jog then.